Worksheet 2.4 for Algebra 2. Write an equation of a line that has the given slope and y-intercept. So here we have a line that has the slope of 4 and a y-intercept of -4. So I'm going to plug that into my slope-intercept form. Remember, m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So now I know that y equals 4x plus -4, or -4. -4 is actually less marking, so that's the way it'll typically be written. However, if you do have plus -4, that's also equivalent. Next one would be y equals -6x plus 3. Y equals 8x. Now I could write down plus 0, but really adding 0 to anything doesn't change the value of the 8x in this case, so I'm not going to write it down. And then here, y equals, I could write down 0x, but again, if I have 0x, there's no x's, so it would just be 5. The slope is 0, that would make your horizontal line. It would look like this. Boom. Next direction, or next set, write the equation of a line that passes through the given point and has the given slope. So now I know the slope, the m value, but I don't know the y-intercept. Well, I do though, how also instead of having that y-intercept, I also have some information that tells me what an x and a y is on the line. So I know a slope, now I know a point that the line goes through. So then it actually fixes the line. There is only one y-intercept given this information. So 1 is my y value, my slope is -2, and my x value is +2. I'm just saying I'm taking m times x, so -2 times 2. I put parentheses around that. You could use a multiplication dot instead, I suppose, plus b. So now in this equation there is one variable that I can solve for and find the value of, and that is my y-intercept. So simplify the right side. -2 times 2 is -4. And now solve for b by adding 4. So you get 5 equals b. Now we're not done. You can circle that because you're excited, yeah, I found b, but the direction said to write the equation of that line. So using the fact that the y-intercept is 5, that we discovered this, and that the slope is -2, now it's just like numbers 1 through 4. Now I can quickly and easily put it into slope-intercept form. Boom, slope is -2, which we knew, but we discovered the y-intercept was 5. That was a lot of fun. Let's try it again. I'm given an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate and a slope. I'm going to plug this into slope-intercept form. The y value is -5. The slope is 1. I'm going to multiply that by the x value, which is 7. And I don't know what the y-intercept is, but now I can solve this equation for b. Simplify first. On the right side, 1 times 7 is 7. So I have 7 plus b equals -5. Now undo this positive 7 by subtracting 7. So we get -12 equals b. So now that I know my y-intercept, or b value, and I know my slope, I can write that in slope-intercept form. There's an invisible 1 here that you can write down, but you won't see that as an option for multiple choice tests. Here my slope is -8 and my x value is 1/2 and y is 4. Now that 1/2 you could call 0.5, right? So slope-intercept form, the 4 is my y. The slope is -8. I'm multiplying that by 1/2, or 0.5 in a calculator. So 4 equals, multiply here, -8 times 1/2 is -4. Now solve for b by adding 4 to undo that -4. So we get 8 equals b. Put that in with the slope of -8, so it's y equals -8x plus 8. Write the equation of the line that passes through the given points. So now we need to find the slope as well. So let's do a quick slope calculation. So we got 4 minus 1 on top. On the bottom, 2 minus -2. 2 minus -2. change in the y's divided by change in the x's. So on top we get 3, and on the bottom we get 4. So that's my slope. I'm going to circle that because that's a good piece of information. Now I need to find the y-intercept. So here our y value is, you can use any of these coordinate pairs, folks, by the way. But if you're going to use one, you have to commit to it. So if I choose this one, I have to use 4 for y, and I have to use 2 for x. You can't mix and match values between the points. So 4 equals, because we have y equals mx plus b, 4 equals the slope, which is 3/4, times x, which is 2, plus b. And so we multiply the slope and the x value together, and we get 6/4, which is the same as 3/2, or 1.5. And now we subtract that off. Think of that as 1 1/2. So then you're left with 2.5. But if you wanted to off to the side, think of that as 4 over 1 minus 3 over 2. Get common denominators. That's the same as 4 over 1 is the same as 8 over 2. And then you are subtracting. I'm nervous I have a double negative there. I don't think I meant to do that. You're subtracting off 3/2, so you get 5/2, which is the same as 2.5. But we're not done. Please put that into slope-intercept form. So y equals 3/4 x plus 2.5. Alrighty, let's try this one. Find the slope. We've got 0 minus 5 divided by -4 minus 1. So then we get -5 over -5, which is +1. So my slope is +1. Now use any one of these coordinate pairs to solve for the y-intercept by plugging it into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to pick this point, because sometimes working with a 0 is easier. Depends on the situation, but usually it is. So 0 for y, 1 for m, x is -4 plus b. So simplify the m times x, which is -4. And now how do you solve for b? You have to undo adding -4, so you add +4. So +4 plus 4. We now know that b is 4. Circle that. So y equals x, because you don't need the 1 in front of it, plus 4. Boom. Last but not least, there's our answer for number 8. So now let's calculate slope. So 1 minus -2. Whoa. 1 minus -2. That arrow got away from me. 1 minus -2. On the bottom, subtract in the same order. So 4 minus -3. I would do some chop in here. Chop, 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 chop. Subtraction is the same as adding the opposite. So I get 3/7. So I'm going to use this coordinate pair. Why? Because there's more positive values, and I just do better working with positive numbers. So 1 equals 4 times 3/7. I'm going to write this as a 4 as a fraction right now, because I see I'm going to have to multiply that together, plus b. So I get 1 equals 12 over 7. And you know what? I'm going to write this 1 as 7 over 7, because in a little bit I'm going to have to subtract off 12/7. Like right now I'm going to have to subtract off 12/7 minus 12/7. Let me move this out of the way. Zoop, zoop. All right, proceeding. We've got this 7/7 minus 12/7 equals b. So we get -5/7 for b. So now put it together. Our slope was, oops, I forgot to label it that time and circle it. Our slope was 3/7 times x, because the slope is always multiplied with x every single time, and then minus 5/7. It's a negative 5/7, so instead of writing plus negative, I do the minus. All right, that was fun. Nice job. I think we're all done, aren't we? Oh, no, we're not. Direct variation. So remember, that is k, or whatever value you're using for direct variation, equals y divided by x, and then you plug that back in for slope, really. So y divided by x here is 6/2. So our direct variation, or slope, is 3. So we plug it into slope-intercept form, but the y-intercept is 0, so we don't even have to write it down. So really, 3 goes in place of m. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom. Here, our y, or our rise, is 2, and our run is -8. So our direct variation is -1/4. So we get y equals -1/4 x. And then here, we take our rise divided by our y divided by our x. Now, this looks kind of scary. And we tell you in high school to use this fraction bar for dividing. But here's where we actually it would help us to write it with an elementary division sign. So I have 9/10 divided by 1/3. When we divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So it's the same as 9/10 times 3/1. So we get 27/10. So y equals 27/10 times x. Now we're done. That was a lot of fun. Hooray! Nice